All right, so hello and welcome to Spotlight. We come to you from Copa in Juhu with a guest who's really got a lot of reason to celebrate. She's been on screen where she's, well, over several years, but specifically right now where she's feisty, she's sexy, and she is thankfully reminding us of all the things that we actually should know. So Swara Bhaskar, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Not so many several years.
Several years. Yeah,
I'm very scared of units of time.
Right,
you know
right,
that, right?
Absolutely. Couple of
years.
I'm saying couple.
Okay,
we'll keep it generic.
I hate Wikipedia and IMDb. My whole I'm all the time looking at it and being like, oh, years are passing. I want to be static 25.
I think,
I'm going to not go beyond 25.
So first of all, congratulations. This film, this performance, the fun you seem to have had, the abandon.
I've had a great time.
Which you brought to it. You've said also it is literally the most challenging role that you have played.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I have two that are competing for that spot. Yes. Nilbhate Sannata and Chanda's character in that, and Anarkali in Anarkali of Arrah. But I think that Anarkali of Arrah was very draining for me, emotionally and physically, of course, because in some sense Chanda is a very positive, overwhelmingly positive and inspiring character. Anarkali is a lot more grey, and she's so angry, and to carry that as an actor inside you, for the almost entirety of when we were shooting, and then there were lots of things that happened that made me angrier and angrier, so I just went into this vortex of anger. So now I'm just angry. In my life, I am dealing with having to be okay, I have to get out of this anger.
I know, but how does one? I mean, you wake up every morning, you read the papers, and there's 1,000 reasons to be angry every single day. So one imagines it was also sort of therapeutic, right? Was there a cathartic quality to being able to just be up there, you know?
It was, I suppose.
Let everyone get the what for.
Yeah, I mean, it gave me the opportunity to channel the rage I have felt for so many months over all kinds of things that are happening in our world. At this moment, I'm using Anarkali as an alibi. Right. So every time my parents are like, how are you behaving? I'm like, I'm in character, I haven't lost this character. Yeah, Mother, it's been 6 months since you finished shooting this film.
Method. Much older.
But no, but it's a great character, and I think that it is, I'm a little bit unhealthily obsessed with Anarkali, and I have been, even in the part of playing it. I cannot tell you how much I have fought with poor Avinash ji. Not fought whatever, but creatively argued and sir no and this, that, and questioned him and harassed the hell out of him. And how much I have troubled the producer as well. And now that the film is released, we can talk about it. I have really given them a hard time because I was so convinced about the fact that, this is how she should be, this is how we should play it. I just want to say that reading the reviews, I was right. I want to feel vindicated. This is
this is your moment.
My moment of vindication.
Because I don't know if you've been reading all the reviews. They have been rapturous.
It's always good when the reviews are, very rapturous on the good side of the performance and in its praise as opposed to, criticism.
And also, I mean, the other thing that they're sort of rapturous about is what Anarkali stands for, what she's trying to say. I just also think it's depressing slightly that we still... you know what I'm saying? That it's still necessary. But here it is, a character, sexual, sexy, owns her body, owns her right, makes her choices, and
unapologetic.
And not
majboor. She's not trafficked.
That
was the big thing, that Anarkali is not majboori mein ki hai bichari bech ke le aaye and in the flesh trade.
Owns her
She's
choices.
Not majboor. And I was in fact when we were playing it, I was it's okay if the audience is uncomfortable. In fact, some of those scenes got edited out in the censor. We should push audiences into that zone of discomfort in terms of her character. And then make up point.
And the other thing that sort of, again, we're touching on is that this is vitally important because, consent, right? Bollywood's track record with issues of consent as shown on screen has not been terrific.
Pretty abysmal, actually.
Yes.
Seems like I've been in one of those films at least, because I get a lot of, in colleges when I go and there's feminists sitting in the crowd, I get a lot of flack for Ranjana.
Right.
And yes, for being part of Ranjana and my excuse is always, I didn't write it. I didn't write the story.
But again, you must explore these themes, in your own head, right? It's an exciting time because we've seen Pink just before this, which again argues exactly the same, that you don't have to be this pure, shrinking, virginal person for consent to be an issue. You can be absolutely anyone. Consent remains vital. And so was that the draw was, or was it just again, as you said, like the sheer abandon of this character?
When Avinash pitched me the film, and he pitched me the title first, he said, I'm working on a film and the title is going to be Anarkali of Arrah. And I was just like, wow. The title only has one entire world and this amazing character. I'm thinking Swara Bhaskar in and as Anarkali of Arrah. And then he gave me the pitch and I'm just like, are you kidding? I didn't know that there are women like this, that there are performances like this where you sing double meaning songs in these contexts. I was like looking at an Oscar coming in front of me. I was like, wow, this is going to be that moment. But when I read the script and he asked me to read the script for comments, I had a lot of comments and reservations and questions and so on. And I think that Avinash was very generous because he allowed me to. So I have read like over 2 years. I mean, before he signed
20
me,
iterations.
20 drafts. And the first 3, I was not even his actor. He was pitching it to another actress.
Did you approve of that actress?
She is a very talented actress and I'm very fond of her, but I'm very glad that she didn't do it. But so I have actually been obsessive about the gender politics of this film. I think that because we had that fear and the screenplay actually evolved around this pressing concern that all of us had, Avinash ji, me and Ravinder had, that at the end, we have to, it has to seem like, yes, what happened to her was not okay, or you have to be on her side by the end of it.
No, so, and I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I think we managed.
I would say so. What do you guys think? Do you think cinema helps change minds, for example?
Definitely, because we've reached this generation where we do need to know, where people do need to know that things like these do happen, and generally people sway away from the definition of feminism as such, and I think things like these would help in clearing out that definition.
Okay.
I just want to say that in India, Bollywood has a great impact on audience. So whatever you make a film on, people, for whatever reasons, they go and watch it, but they do watch it and they want to follow it. They want to, whether it's a trend, whether it's a story or actors. So definitely it has a great impact. So cinema is the medium where you can come up with these kind of topics and really.
By the way, this is Rupa. She's the stylist of Anarkali of Arrah. So she's responsible for how Anarkali looks.
Well done. She looks beautiful. She looks amazing. But art and activism, when they do collide, they don't always have to. I understand that it's not compulsory, but when they do, is it more fulfilling?
I think so. Yeah? I think that it's not, I think that if you believe in the character or in what the character stands for, and if you relate to the character, you will always, you will find it easier to play it, you will find it easier to get under the skin. I had more difficulty becoming Chandrika of Prem Ratan Dhan Payo. Right. I'm saying emotionally. More difficulty playing Payal of Tanu Weds Manu than I had becoming Bindiya from Ranjana or Anarkali of Arrah. It's like when you believe in something, half your work as an actor is done.
Yeah. Do you feel that sort of going forward, this will be something that you will look for? Not preachy films. I'm not saying films that preach necessarily, but films that perhaps help take a conversation forward.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope I get that chance because you don't often get a script like Nilbate or Anarkali which are able to tell or give a message through a story about emotions, drama, conflict, through that. I see a lot of scripts come to me which are, because now there is an association of Swara with, Jhande wali and like whatever, Morche wali, whatever it is. But I'm reading that and I'm just like, this is rank bad. Your intention may be very good, but there is a craft.
But intent matters, right?
It does matter, but of course it matters.
Yeah.
But there is also a craft. Right. And the craft matters as much. A tackily, badly made film with a good message is going to look like, some bad, bad NGO film. Right. It's not going to help anyone. Nobody's going to. It's actually, So then I don't necessarily need to be part of that. Sometimes it's also, you're doing things in where you're like, what am I doing?
Right.
So I've had that also.
How many times? Like, has it happened often? Because
it's happened about 3 times at least.
Oh, really?
And I say all actors have skeletons in our closet.
Nice.
So there's been those times, but I think that even in some of those films, I have, I remember there was one film that I'd done, and there was a dialogue which said Bangladeshi और कुत्ते कहीं पे भी घुस जाते हैं, and I was just like, what is this? And it was not actually my dialogue. It was and I just said that I threw a small I had a small argument at that point, and I was just like, and I wasn't, this is one of my earlier works, like I was not very well known or anything. I was like, I don't think that you can say that, and I don't know that I want to do this film if you're going to be saying that, because and then they were like, oh, but it's not such a big, and I was like, no, it really is a big deal. It really is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to examine some of the points of the candor about the various topics that Swara has not shied away from touching on, and, long may it stay that way, and long may, please, your tribe increase.
Long may I stay out of jail is what my current concern is.
Right. Yes. Well, we're here, we're having coffee, and, we'll keep it comfortable. We've got one question which we'll take, and then we'll head
Hi, ma'am. Big fan of yours. कहने की ज़रूरत तो नहीं है.
अरे, thank you. हमेशा बोलना चाहिए. ये तो अच्छी चीज़ है.
मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि जब हम मूवी देखने जाते हैं तो जिन किरदारों से हम वहाँ रूबरू होते हैं वो दो तरीके के होते हैं. पहला कि जो उसको जीते हैं, दूसरा जो उसे निभाते हैं. हमने आपके जो भी किरदार देखे हैं अभी तक उसको हमने जिया है, हम ये बोल सकते हैं. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि वो तनु वेट्स मनु का, चाहे वो चुलबुला सा किरदार हो या एक अभी नील बटे सन्नाटा की एक माँ हो या अभी का एक बिंदास किरदार, तो आप क्या प्रिपरेशन करती हैं कि इन किरदारों को निभाने के लिए कि हम जब मूवी देखने जाते हैं तो पैसा वसूल हो जाता है?
Well, I think that I think that as we were talking about, that if I have to find one thing, one quality in the character that I can relate to, any one thing, it doesn't have to be the whole character. So like even in Tanu as Manu, Payal is like this housewife, and at that time I was also younger and quite fresh out of college myself, and I was like, how come she doesn't have a job? Like, why isn't she working? Like, why she just got married and stopped working? Like, this is my big concern. So I had to get beyond that. And so in Payal, I found the thing to relate to was that she's, very frank and very outspoken. So that's something I relate to. So I use that to then get into the character and build a character around that. So sometimes I have to actually justify the character's decisions. So I had to justify in my mind and be like, can't be so judgmental. And, kind of also learn to like the character, basically. So if I like the character and I am able to find one key to get into her and believe her, then I will be able to make you also believe that, because that's my job as an actor. Chandrika in Prem Ratan Dhan Paya was also a very difficult character, because I have not been part of such films in the past. Yeah. So for me, for that, it became, she has a very strong sense of her own rights. Ki ye hak, meri hak ki ladai hai. So I use that as the thing to get into, and also in my mind she was like a feminist, like Chandrika was, like
a faux feminist.
I mean, like like a maybe proto-feminist, a feminist who doesn't know she's a feminist.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I use that. So I have to do that. I have to learn to like those characters. So my entire first preparation is to like the character myself. And then of course I'm I have a backstory. So I'll build a backstory from the time they were born to the time that the film opens. So it's a fictional story. तो मैंने कुछ भी बना लिया अपना. कभी-कभी तो मैं once or twice I asked Anand sir to read it. Anand Rai, he was like, बेटा कोई बात नहीं. So मैं जो बनाना है तुम बना लो. So बस लाइनें याद कर लेना. And then I also create between one scene, and especially if it's a supporting role, then जहाँ आपने screen पे देखा है उसे script में, और उसके बाद कितने दिन पास हो गए, तो उन दिनों में वो क्या कर रही थी? Like what was she doing in those days? What was, so I fill that in also, like in notes in my mind and whatever. So I basically try to live in a real experience sense, how much ever I can, that character. But I am not a method actor, I just want to say. I don't, very limited amount of method.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that one of these days we're going to have a book or a screenplay written by Swara to look forward to. We come to you from Copa in Juhu with the engaged and engaging Swara Bhaskar. Shall we actually start off with some audience questions? Do you want to go first, or would you like to go?
What piece of advice would you like to give to your younger self back when you were shooting your first film?
Oh my God. When I was shooting my first film?
Yes.
Well, I think that my first film, wow, it never released actually, and it was a film where I was playing the central character, so it was quite cool, and it was like, wow. And I had come into Bombay 3 months before, so I was like the lead actor. So the first thing that I was doing actually was, I remember sitting once, and there were these production boys who peti utha rahe the, the spot boys. So I was like, and I went to start helping them, and they're like, what are you doing? You don't have to do this, ma'am. You can like. So I think the first thing that at that time, I would tell myself to just calm down a little bit and let people do their job and observe more than get involved. Like I'm very impulsive as a person now, trying to be less, but I was very impulsive getting involved in things. So I would tell myself, I would tell that Swara, just calm down, observe, don't act immediately, don't necessarily talk immediately. So, yeah.
And it's actually interesting because again, like, you know, in a sense, the jhola scene that, you know, was Delhi University in all of its forms is a far cry from, you know, the film industry. So how did you adjust?
It took me years, by the way, like years. I remember, I mean, so, you know, it's if you're not from the industry, and especially if you come from like a liberal, progressive university kind of background, the first thing that hits you about a film set is how hierarchical it is. You know, and for me, and even to date, it has taken me so long to wrap my head around this concept of a celebrity. Because fundamentally, I really don't believe it. I do not believe that people should or are more special than other people. Or, you know, deserve more attention, deserve more privileges, deserve the kursi, the chata, whatever. And that somebody should be, like for the longest time, I was like, you know, it's pathetic that people can't carry their own chata. And then now I have someone carrying the chata for me and I have to, so it took me a while to understand that yes, this is a film set, everyone has a role, and actually to, you know, also, I feel like when I came to the industry, I was very judgmental of it, and my mother actually sat me down and once said this to me, that, you know, you cannot keep, you want to work in this industry, you ought to start being a little more empathetic towards it and a little less judgmental. You can't keep bitching it out and want to be part of that thing. And that was actually...
very good advice, yeah.
Yeah, and also I learned to be, I think, less intellectually arrogant and less judgmental in my journey in Bombay. Then, of course, facials and manicure, pedicures.
Go a long way in helping that out.
Heels. I learned all that as well. I learned that looking good is a virtue. You know, when we were young, we were not taught that looking good was, I mean, in fact, if you were paying too much attention to your hair and all, our parents would be like, don't be so vain and, you know, go catch your bus, or, you know, you don't have to keep, it doesn't matter how you look, you have to be a good person and you have to help and kind. And like, once I've come to Bombay, I'm like, it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter, you have to look good.
No, and yet, and it's fair to say, and yet, because you have also, in a way that is not typical of your industry, have chosen to be remarkably candid, put your views out there on just about everything, from cleavage to Umar Khalid in JNU, to just about everything. You've even spoken recently about, you know, about the sexual harassment within your own industry. Now, that's not usual. Do you ever question that impulse? Or do you just feel it's whatever your place might be in the industry, it remains more vital to speak out?
I mean, I have had that questioned a lot. I have had many people be like, can you shut up? Can you open a fake Twitter account? Can you, you know, you can say all that on that account. But I've thought a lot about it, actually, in the last year. Because between Nilbate and Anarkali, there have been so many political kind of fiascos, dramas, craziness happening in our country. And I've just come to the point, there are a couple of things. One, I fundamentally believe that artists should be political. Art should be political. If not political, and if that's a word we're uncomfortable with, at least involved with the society that it is part of. I don't believe that art, or especially films, are just entertainment. I think that's a very shallow understanding of what films are. Films have tremendous power. I mean, as they said, they can change, you can actually change how people think by constantly watching something. It's a very powerful medium, you know. It doesn't require you to be illiterate. It goes straight to the heart, to the mind. So I think that there is a responsibility right there. But equally, it's, you know, I came to this point where I was like, okay, I'm playing the game in terms of wearing the heels, looking a certain way at the red carpet. But this is some part of me that I really don't want to let go of. Like, it's too much of an effort. It would mean changing my personality too much. Like, I really feel I'd suffocate and die if I don't have the opportunity to express myself. But I also feel that, you know, an artist or an actor, we may live lives on set and it may be a little insulated, cloistered, but we are also citizens of this country. And it's my country as much as it is anyone else's. And I have a right to be involved, to care, and to say. And I really believe that if there, and this is, I don't believe there's anything called neutral. Sometimes, if you're neutral, you're actually complicit. If there is something wrong happening right in front of you, and you don't stop it, or make an effort, or protest, you're part of that wrong thing. And I think that at the very least, all I can do is raise my voice. And
what are some of the things, therefore, that continue to move you? Particularly, as you said, you're in a permanent state of anger. So what are you angry about?
I think currently it is the way in which, in our country, patriotism and nationalism is being misused. The spirit of patriotism and nationalism is being misused to basically justify violence and hooliganism and crime. I think that very recently the Gaurakshaks, first of all, they're not even Gaurakshaks, I think they're cow terrorists. They have lynched to death, ultimately, 15 people, of which one man died in Alwar. And I think it's been happening, like this is one incident coming at the end of a whole chain of such incidents. So that is the thing I'm most outraged about right now. You know, I really feel very, very, more than angry, also very depressed and scared about the path our country is on. Because I think that when you appropriate things like nationalism, patriotism, and take it to this extreme militant place, you're actually heading, and I don't want to sound alarmist, but really this is what happened in Germany.